Welcome back, Stealth Wheel here. I've been playing a lot of Zelda Breath of the Wild recently, and I think one of the coolest things from the game is when you pull back your bow in midair, it goes into slow motion, and I just really wanted to recreate that in Minecraft. I wrote a data pack for this, so all you have to do is pull back your bow in midair, and then everything will slow down and you can launch an arrow in slow motion. So, as you can see, the slimes move slower. Even your arrows actually move slower while you're in the slow-mo mode. And if your stamina runs out, we'll just let that happen. If your stamina runs out, you'll exit the mode, and then you have to wait for your stamina to recharge. And you get slowness while your stamina is recharging, just like in the game. And then after a while, your stamina bar will just go away, because it's a little annoying. You can see it also it tracks your motion. So that pumpkin is just what's used to give the different kind of like intense focus view like there is in the game. That I'm using a pumpkin for that. But it will also track your velocity. So if you jump off, you see I keep moving in that direction. I actually set it up. It uses an armor strand to track your motion. So if you jump off here, you'll make it to like right here. And if you do the same thing with while you're in bullet time mode, you'll land in about the same spot. And yeah, so when you're in this mode, you can fire as many. Oh, it's recharging. When you're in this mode, you can fire as many arrows as you want, just like in the game. And you can, if you press shift, you'll exit that mode. So I just had to, I really wanted to add in bomb arrows, because that's one of the coolest things from the game. So there's a custom crafting recipe, and it's arrows and TNT, and then you can get bomb arrows, and you can get a bunch of them, and then they'll work if you just have them in your normal slot in your inventory. But if you put them into your offhand slot, you'll get this cool little particle effect, and it'll have a different bow texture, so you know you're using bomb arrows. And those work. If they hit blocks, they'll explode, and they also work if they hit entities, even if they kill the entity. Actually, yeah, you saw right there. It uses armor stands to track their locations, so it knows when it hits an entity. When I first started this project, I didn't realize that I could use villagers for right-click detection to detect right-clicking for your bow draw. So I initially started by completely recreating bows using carrot on a stick instead. There's a scoreboard objective that can track when you right-click on a carrot on a stick. So basically I made a custom crafting recipe, and you would craft the bow, and then as you right-clicked on the carrot on a stick, this is actually a carrot on a stick right now, and it would just change the texture of the carrot on a stick, and then fire an arrow, and that's just an arrow that I create by summoning an armor stand in front of you, and then in the direction that you're looking, and then finding the difference between your coordinates and that armor stand's coordinates, and turning that into essentially a vector, and then you can give that vector to an arrow that you summon, so it goes in the direction that you're looking. And I had it so it gives it different velocities based on how much you charge, and I even recreated the sounds and everything. So it worked pretty well, and then I could detect, because the big thing was you have to detect when you start pulling back the bow. In normal Minecraft, there's only a way to detect once you've shot the arrow. So this was my workaround to do it, and it worked pretty well. It just didn't work with enchantments. I later realized that I could do it with villagers, because there's a scoreboard objective that increments every time you right-click on a villager. And what I can do is summon a villager with no trades, and it pops up when I hold the bow. I can summon a villager with no trades, and then when I right-click on it, the trading interface doesn't open, but the scoreboard still increments. So another thing I had to worry about was when you teleport an entity to the player, it kind of lags behind like this. But if you can see, the invisible villager doesn't. I'm teleporting the villager to the player using a kind of unique method developed by Sanian Creations. So essentially how it works is it first stores the position of the player's X, Y, and Z, and then in the next tick,
it compares that previous position to the current position, and it finds the difference between the two, and then here it multiplies it by 3. So then you directly edit the entity's NVT data to set their X, Y, and Z position here to your current X, Y, or Z position plus that little bit of velocity that it's detecting. So it's essentially predicting where the player will be in the next tick and teleporting the villager to that position. I'll leave a link to the Reddit thread in the description of this video if you're interested in learning more about it.
There's one other kind of interesting thing that I'm doing in this data pack, which is the bomb arrow special bow texture. So when you have a bomb arrow in your offhand slot, it will change the bow texture, and I'm doing that kind of cheekily. So normally you can't edit player data, but if you use an execute store command, you can change individual numbers. You can't modify text or anything, but you can store the result of a scoreboard in this case, I'm changing the custom model data of the bow. So when it detects that you have the arrow in your offhand, it changes the custom model of the bow to this other bow texture that has the bomb arrow. So I'll leave a data pack download and a resource pack download in the description of this video. So all you have to do is download the data pack and drag it into your datapacks folder in your Minecraft world and put the resource pack into your resource packs folder. And I'll also leave a link to this world download, and I'll also link to the previous version of the bow. I don't know, somebody might have a use for completely I completely remade bows, so I mean you could change it and make it so the bows shoot farther, or you have to charge the bow back for longer. I don't know, you can do whatever you want. I have a kind of unique style of writing code. Most of my code is all in one pretty much in one file. If you go into the data pack, it's pretty much all under the loop.mc function file, and I've left comments, so hopefully you can use bits and pieces of it in your own creations if you want. There isn't a lot of documentation of a lot of this stuff. A lot of stuff I'm having to kind of discover on my own or do a bunch of research for, and I think it's just because there's so much new stuff in 1.13 and 1.14, and there just isn't a lot of documentation on all the really cool things that we can do. And hopefully, if you have any questions on anything in the code, I'd love to help out, because the only reason I was able to do this is from a bunch of other YouTube videos from a bunch of other creators that I will link in the description, all the people that I learned from for this. But yeah, it was a lot of fun making this. I'm hoping to do some other cool things like this, and I have so many ideas. I would like to try and make some more, like recreate some of the Ben 10 aliens in 1.14, because there's so many more possibilities now. Maybe do some of that, or maybe I was thinking about maybe trying to do shield surfing or some other things from Breath of the Wild. But yeah, it's good to be back. I've really been enjoying coding in Minecraft again. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Southwell out.